Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to jump right into it today. I know by now we have all seen the horrendous thing that happened to those young children at Sesame Park or Sesame Place, and wherever that is, in Philadelphia. Now, we all know that Sesame Street was basically created for inner city black children and giving them positive role models. So they've taken that concept and turned it into a racist model against black children. But I don't take the approach now. We all know it's awful. So I'm not going to take the approach of talking about how awful it is, because we all know it's awful. We all know what they did was wrong. We all know that what they did was damaging to children. I'm of the opinion that we have to empower black children at this point without destroying their innocence. And we should take a page out of the white people's playbook. They start very early teaching their children something very simple. They tell them there are good people and bad people in the world. Now, they don't tell them who those bad people are, but the children learn subliminally through their parents' behavior who the bad people are. Now, we know and they know that the people that are going to do the most damage to a white person, whether it's a child, a man, or a woman, is another white person. But that's not the target, and that's not the lesson. For instance, whenever they encounter a black person, they start holding on to their pocketbooks for dear life. The message is that these people will steal mommy's money, so we have to protect the pocketbook from these people. That's an important thing, because now they're identifying the bad people. You can be in a grocery store standing behind them, and a white child can be with their mother or father, mostly white women. This is mostly white women. And they'll start hugging up the child and pulling the child up saying, "Oh, it's all right, it's all right." Now, you weren't paying any attention to those people, but they were paying attention to you. And you are the imaginary bad person. So that by the time those children get to kindergarten, they know they don't want to sit next to a black child, eat with the black child in the lunchroom. They don't want to play with them on the playground. They don't want to sit next to them in the music class or the art class or whatever it is. They know they're not supposed to associate with those black children except on a very minimal scale, because they are the bad people. Their parents have instilled into them, so they recognize who the bad people are without their parents ever telling them that black people are the bad people. That's how this is done. We always wonder, how is this racism instilled in them so young? Because it's taught. It's taught to them. These are the bad people. I believe that black people have to do something similar, but I don't think we do it by race. I think we do it by behavior. Black people have to tell their children, we have to start teaching black children that there are good people and there are bad people. Now, how do we tell the difference between a good person and a bad person? It's how they treat you. If somebody does something mean to you, that child needs to understand there ain't nothing wrong with me. It's something wrong with them. That's what we have to teach them. Because we could say, well, we're not going to take our children to the amusement park or to the theme park or wherever they were. We're just going to keep our money in our pocketbook and stay away from those people. That's not realistic. The children are then being taught something very different. I'm so different that I can't go to the amusement park. No, that's not what we do. But we don't send our children there with just anybody. We take our children to these events and we teach them in real time what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. So when some demented puppet comes up to you and bum rushes you like one of them did in one of those videos, or ignores you when you're so excited and holding out your arm wanting to love the puppet, and he breaks his hand, or she, that heifer, needs to be identified. The child should not have to absorb that hurt and disappointment. It should be thrown back on her. There's something wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with you. And if somebody does something like that to you and it's wrong, mommy's going to do something about it. That's what they need to be taught, because it's always something that you can do. And we saw that with that mother in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, it's something you can do. And they need to understand that. And this is how we protect their innocence, by not letting it go. Because they can process it if they're given something to process. But what's, to me, the most damaging thing you can do is walk away from that park with, they always treat us like that. Or why do they treat my child like that? That is not the message. The message should be, that is a bad person. And we're going to do something about this. Just like that mother in Philadelphia did. They may have thought they had the last word, but she's having the last word. And that's how you protect their innocence, and that's how you empower them. We are not helpless. And that's a bad person. And that person needs to be dealt with. There are bad people in the world, and they will do bad things. But to the best of Mommy's ability, she's going to do something about it. We're going to get something done about this. That's what we have to start empowering our children. We can't shelter them from the world. We can't isolate them. Because as I said before, then they really start thinking there's something wrong with them. No, we're going to interact. In the same way that you embarrassed my child, you're going to be embarrassed. Now back to these stupid characters. This Rosita heifer should be identified. Whenever a police officer violates a black person, the first thing black people say is, who is he? We need his name. We need his name out there because the public needs to know who he is. So this heifer needs to be exposed because everybody could see what she did to those young children. And just as a side note, I just saw on YouTube a woman who had played Rosita. The Sesame Place people, Sesame Park people wrote a letter saying that she couldn't see because of the costume. And this woman who did play Rosita said that is a lie. You can see. There are a couple of things that I think should be done, and I think it's being done. That whole cast of characters should be identified. We need to see their photos. We need some background knowledge of them. And really, it would be good to see them walked out of the park, fired. Because nothing succeeds like consequences. They should be walked out of that park, fired, exposed, and let the public see who's hiding behind those costumes. Number 2, arrests should be made for anybody that playfully call themselves playfully hitting a black child. Number 3, there should be a class action suit filed against that theme park. I truly believe these behaviors are intentional. They created that park for white people. Whenever black people show up, white people don't want to go because black people are the bad people. So I think they're intentionally trying to run black people away. And number 4, individual lawsuits should be brought against those characters for publicly humiliating those children and causing emotional injury to those minor children. Black children need to be taught that we live in a society where there are good people and bad people. I don't think we're going to say white people are bad and black people are good because we know that's not true. But what we can say is there are good people and there are bad people. And Mommy and Daddy want you to know how to identify a bad person from a good person. And if a bad person does something to you, we are going to do something about it. The time is over for us to blame ourselves for other people's evil and think there's something wrong with us, and letting our children grow up thinking that there's something wrong with them. And if you galvanize enough people, because look at all of these black parents who are coming forward with low down stuff that they did to their children. They should not be able to get away with that. And I have to keep saying this because we have to keep it before us. The pain and suffering that we had to go through to bring this country into being in the first place. And that alone should empower us to say, if my child can't come here and have a fun experience in peace, ain't nobody coming here and have a fun experience in peace. Now let's talk about the disservice that they're doing to white children. Yes, they are doing a disservice to white children. They are showing favoritism to them, white privilege to white children. What that does is cause resentment between black children and white children. So they are creating division. Also, it blinds white children to racism so that white people will say, well, there's no white privilege. I'm not a racist. Because they are being treated normally. That is how they should be treated It's the black children that are not being treated normally. And this is not just a black problem. This is an American societal problem because these characters, these idiots, are causing division between children at a very early age. And that division only widens if something is not done. So in closing, I'm going to say that we empower our children by making them aware of how the world works without putting them in the spotlight. There are good people and there are bad people. And the fact that they expected to be treated right, they expected those puppets to accept the love they were offering just like they did everybody else. That alone lets you know that these children are not damaged or destroyed, and they expect to be treated like everybody else. So to me, that's a good sign within itself. But what we do is we take it further. We never make them feel like they're victims. We have been the victims of a humongous crime. I don't even know if humongous is a word, but we're still standing. So I'm saying that we want to empower our children without destroying their innocence and without making them think that they can't participate in a society where their family members were abused, suffered, and died to bring into existence. So I don't think we run away. I don't think we run and hide. I don't think we bury our head in the sand and say, oh, these people are so awful, I'm just going to stay away from them. No. We're going to say, you are going to treat my child right, or we got a problem. And that's what black children need to know, as opposed to, oh, mommy, you know, they did such a horrible thing to me. Well, if they did a horrible thing to you, that's a horrible person. Now we're going to see what we can get done about it. That's how I feel about that. Y'all let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.